Hello, my name is Tracie Rogers and this is On the Couch, a weekly video series where we talk about a range of issues that we deal with as men and women with mental health professionals. Today on the couch with me is Mrs. Akilah Riley Richardson. Welcome.
Hi.
And we are continuing our couples series and we're delving right into it. We're talking about the 5 losing strategies in relationships.
Yeah, Terry Real talks about these 5 losing strategies that really, I've seen myself involved in, I've seen couples I work with involved use. They're totally destructive.
So this is like a segment where we tell you what not to do.
Yeah, don't do this.
These are the 5 things that if you are doing any of these 5 things in your relationship, you are hurting yourself and your partner, it's time to stop. Yeah. And the first one up is
being right. We love to be right.
The losing strategy of being right.
Yeah. You know, Terry says that there is, when it comes to couples, there's no objective reality. There are 2 dancing subjective realities.
2 dancing subjective
And we
realities.
have to move away from trying to convince the other person that we have facts, you know, that will prove that our point is right. Yeah? You cannot be right in a relationship. You can only open yourself to accessing the other person's objective reality. Yeah?
Yes.
He has a very powerful statement, and I don't have it word for word, but he says, you know, the relational answer to who's right and who's wrong is, who cares? Can you park your ego at the door and let's figure out in this minute, how can we live more relationally?
I mean, I'm laughing, but I'm glad that you started off by saying, you know, you have been in this situation, I have been in this situation, and we will fight it down. And it has a lot to do with our socialization, because we were raised to know that somebody's right and somebody's wrong. And if you're right, I win.
Yeah.
And so there's a way in which when we're in our arguments with our partners, we are trying to prove that we are the ones that deserve to win.
Yeah.
So if I let go of being right, then I could actually hear another person's perspective. And they're 2 perspectives because they're 2 people.
Yep.
So we let lose. If you're trying to be right, you lose then.
Yep.
Second losing strategy.
Controlling. You're trying to control the person either directly or indirectly. A lot of times, so directly is if you're just commanding the person, and then indirectly is this manipulation. We like to manipulate people. We use emotional blackmail, we use sexual blackmail, whatever they use. But we find different ways to manipulate our partners.
And we see it so much when you set your partner up.
Yeah.
So for example, I know what the answer to this question is, but I'm going to ask you anyway so we could go down the rabbit hole so I could tell you, see what?
Yeah.
As opposed to me just coming into the conversation and saying, this is what I think is going on.
Yeah.
Am I right? Am I wrong? Can we move on? No. We have to set up an action sequence, you know, and so we're setting ourselves up and we're being controlling. And I'm glad that you're talking about that manipulative controlling, because sometimes that seems less obvious to the person who's actually doing the controlling as well. Because we actually we have really told ourselves that that's not what this is.
Yep.
So let go of control. Third losing strategy.
Unbridled self-expression. Some of us say too much. Yeah, sometimes in a heated moment, we just let it all out.
Yeah.
And we have to know how to hold back some. Yeah, sometimes we even bring up stuff from the past in this attempt to let it all out. I mean, we think in relationships that, you know, it's a safe space to say whatever you want. Guess what? The person on the other end also has feelings as well. Yeah. And always ask yourself, when I'm sharing this piece of information and I'm sharing this emotion, what is my intention? Yeah, check your intention all the time.
Am I trying to hurt this person? Am I trying to be right?
Yeah.
Or am I saying this because this is something that this person needs to hear, or this is something I need to hear myself say? Yeah. So unbridled self-expression. So sometimes not everything that you can say you should.
You should say. Hold back some.
Yeah.
Another one is retaliation. This occurs a lot if you take a victim position in your relationship. So if you're a victim, victims need to get revenge. Yeah. So sometimes we do some really, really hurtful things, you know, in order to retaliate against our partners. Amazing the ways in which people who love each other so much can hurt each other. They tell each other some of the most hurtful things in an effort to, you know, execute their revenge. Yeah. The 5th one is withdrawal. This one is one that I want to talk a little bit about the different aspects of withdrawal. So one is if we're discussing a particular issue and you just pull out the conversation. Yeah, when you do that, it is manipulative even though you've not intended to be manipulative. But what you do is that you raise something called primal panic in the other person.
Yeah.
You just distance yourself, and the other person is wondering what's happening. Is it that the relationship is over?
Yep.
What's going on? And why don't you value me enough to
Yep.
be able to finish this conversation with me? Yeah.
You know, if you think back to one of your first memories, and I'm encouraging you to do this, most of us, if we think back to one of our earliest memories, it's a memory of being abandoned.
Yeah.
Because that makes such a fundamental mark on our consciousness that you could remember as early back as you go, your memories linked or connected to abandonment. So when you talk about activating this primal panic, withdrawing is abandonment. You have left me.
Yeah.
And somebody to leave you while they're in a relationship with you, in a room with you, to leave the building.
Yeah. And the other types of withdrawal. So sometimes people get very passive aggressive in their withdrawal. You know, sometimes we have a discussion and then I ask you, okay, fine, what do you want to do? Whatever. Whatever you want to do. You know, that is withdrawal. And Terry says that withdrawal is not acceptance and it is not a healthy strategy. So this thing that we do, we just say, well, you do whatever you want now.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. That is an unhealthy losing strategy. And then of course the final one, so before we spoke about withdrawing from a discussion, but then there's some people who check out the entire relationship.
Yes.
Now there's a way in which if you want a relationship to continue, you do not check out of the relationship in order for it to continue. People do that. People distance themselves, block people, lock them off, not with an intention to end the relationship, but to punish them.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to teach you a lesson.
Yes.
You know, you lost this friend, you know.
Yes.
We need to be so careful. If you want a relationship to continue, the strategy is not to withdraw in such fashion. Now, if you desire for a relationship to end, you can have a conversation, as I remember I was hearing recently, somebody talk about divorcing with dignity. You can take a route of having a conversation around that. But this abandonment, where there's no conversation, there is no respect for your dignity, you know, you just withdraw. I think that's particularly hurtful.
You know, and it cues into this thing that a lot of us have, where we feel that I need to teach this person a lesson, you know? And I guess it kind of tags in with retaliation as well.
Yes.
And I'm going to show you. Well, go ahead. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to show you. Again, not coming from a place of love. And then some people withdraw because they don't have the courage to end a relationship.
Yep. They don't have the courage to divorce with dignity.
So it's very close to ghosting.
Yes.
So I'm just going to leave and wait for you to realize that this makes no sense. Instead of just saying to you, this does not work for me anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm really sorry. So it's a very cowardice way to go about things. So here you have it. Your 5 losing strategies. Do not do these things. If you're doing any of these things, and we laughed a lot when we talked about it because it's so commonplace. We have done it.
We've done it.
We know our couples are doing it. The fact that you're doing it, again, does not mean that you're a loser. It just means that it's time for you to tap into your strength. And you need to decide, do you want this relationship to work? And if you want this relationship to work, we need to end these strategies. So thank you so much for joining us, Akilah. Again, we open extend the invitation to you as well. If you are interested in working on any of these issues, so please feel free to contact us. I know, Akilah, in July, we are going to be working on a workshop that's for couples to start to work on communicating as well. So look out for information about that. Thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best, and we want you to go forth and abandon these losing strategies. Take care.